Well, I just think everybody's idea of replenishing is different. And so communicating what that looks like is so important between husband and wives. You know, maybe going on vacation is replenishing. Maybe for some people, they're actually bored. They're not having that much fun. And they would have rather gone to maybe a seminar to learn how to do something. So I think that's super important up front to know, again, each other enough to know what's replenishing and what's kind of just stressful and not fun anymore. Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world.
All right. Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, you were... Oh. Whoa. Hey, guys. Welcome back. Greg's taking over. No, and just as if you guys are kind of new on the little series we're doing here, we're just talking about really how to organize your household. It kind of started off with everyday organization, and it's kind of moved into now when mom and dad are trying to take a trip or do something to progress in a deeper way. Without the children, how to organize your house to do so.
Yeah, it's been some pretty serious topics, but I do have a question for you.
I knew it. I want to keep talking. I'm just going to ignore your joke.
Did I tell you that I took the shell off of my racing snail? I thought I'd make them faster, but if anything, it just made them more sluggish.
Oh, we need people to send you some better jokes.
Hey, what do you get from a pampered cow? Spoiled milk.
No, thank you. Gross.
Hey, how does NASA organize a party? They plan it.
Okay. We're going to put a little box up on our Instagram. Please send Greg all your funniest jokes because the ones he is
these are amazing.
Shelling out. Anyways, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, so this episode, one thing I thought that we could talk about is I started talking about how there's a topic that we cover pretty heavily when we coach individuals. And, if you guys are ever interested in learning about what we do with individual coaching, you can go to teamredwoods.com, www.teamredwoods with an S and an N.com. And it kind of explains a little bit about our coaching program, our individual coaching. We are typically on a waiting list with it, but as somebody ends up being done with coaching, we'll slide somebody new in. And something we enjoy doing. We don't coach a lot of people at a time just because we protect our energy and we protect our time and in this season with our kids, but we do enjoy it. But one of the things that we love to ask parents in particular, like these high achieving parents, so you all can probably relate to this, is how do you replenish you? I think people know to take vacations and they know how to do family trips that create memories or, whatever. But how do you replenish you? And because I know that you and I, we've had a journey of trying to figure this out really, and sometimes you don't even really know until you do different things. So like, for instance, you and I, if we would go on a trip and it'd be someplace really nice, let's say we're going to Hawaii, right? Hawaii's gorgeous. It's beautiful. But, if the trip was like a 7-night trip and we had to leave our kids home, after about 3 nights, we're starting to be like, can we book a flight home? Right? I mean, and it wasn't that we didn't appreciate Hawaii. We would stay there for 7 days easily if we had everybody with us. But we just were like, all right. So we learned in that season when the kids were younger, we're like, we're probably going to have like a 3-night limit, most likely 2. Typically, our rule is 48 hours, right? Because even if we're in a cool place, it becomes really like not fun for us, What's some examples of things that we've learned about replenishing that you can think of?
Well, I just think everybody's idea of replenishing is different. And so communicating what that looks like is so important between husband and wives. Maybe going on vacation is replenishing. Maybe for some people, they're actually bored. They're not having that much fun. And they would have rather gone to maybe a seminar to learn how to do something or, a training of some sort. So I think that's super important up front to know, again, each other enough to know what's replenishing and what's kind of just stressful and not fun anymore.
Yeah, we have one coaching client that recently they go to a lot of like conferences for their work and stuff, and they enjoy going to dinner with great people, but it feels like work. And then they tried something recently where it was something through a radio show that they liked, and it was kind of some kind of a unique like radio show resort party kind of a thing. But they played all these different games they'd have the crowd come into, whether it's bull riding or, stretching themselves in some kind of a game on the beach. And what was really interesting was when they got back from it, you and I were kind of thinking, that wouldn't really be us, like just kind of going out there but they had a blast. And the thing that replenished them from it was like trying all these things they wouldn't normally do. Actually, they really liked being in a crowd where they didn't know anybody, really. So they could just kind of not have any, because, again, these are people that normally have employees. They're normally doing these business trips. There's normally a certain way that you want to act because there's a lot of people watching. And they went on this trip and they came back like new people. And so, we encourage them like, well, you need to plan something like this once a year, right? Because that's something that replenished them. Now, would that replenish us? Not at all.
Right.
Like,
So I think that's the whole point, is find something that actually does do what you want it to do, And then I think a couple things more about, on trips and stuff like that is, again, making sure that when you are doing this, that you're in communication with each other. Yeah. I mean, most people know this, but again, especially when you're a high performer, you do so much stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. Don't feel like you have to be on it all the time. Yeah. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? Know that there is a time for you to just be in what that looks like, because sometimes we try to perform all the time. And if we're performing all the time, then we're never, ever, ever just being still.
What are some other simple things you'd suggest for parents, maybe even of young kids, of how they can even get just some simple things that replenish them? I can remember even with some of our clients, but even with some of what we would do sometimes, is that, when you're especially a mom with younger kids, and you're very available for those kids, right? But you get a lot of just kid time. I just remember even you being able to have the freedom to go to the gym. Instead of in that season, you like that. Like right now, we have a gym set up here at our house. You kind of enjoy this season just going down in the garage and doing the gym thing. But back then, it was nice for you to get that 30-minute car ride to the gym, which is about how far it was. You liked kind of being there and nobody tugging on you. You're far enough away where you can't handle any situations really. Plus your car ride back. Remember, this is how you used to always listen to your podcast and your audios, and you would just kind of zone out on the treadmill running and stuff. And it made you a different person. But we had to coordinate it, whether we had help there or whether I was going to have that window and trying to be really consistent. But I remember, though, that when we really started getting that in place, how much of a difference it made for you, right?
Yeah, again, I think that it's, having the schedule for your family so that you can do all of it is so important.
So when you say having a schedule for your family, like describe what that means.
Yeah. So, again, primarily when the kids are younger, again, schedules are so important. Our children, I had them on a pretty strict schedule. There was time to go to bed. There was a strict schedule.
Can you just describe it?
Typically, our kids would get up between 7:30, something like that. As soon as they were kind of around 2-ish, they understood that,
So what if they tried to wake up before that?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure that.
Okay.
I'm trying to make sure we're being really specific because I think people will appreciate this.
Right. And so typically, once they were around 2-ish, the time frame that they could get up was between 7:30, let's say. Mm-hmm. If they got up before that, they knew that they could grab a book that was next to their bed. I had a handful of books ready for them.
Yeah. And they had them right there, so it was really easy.
They could just grab their books and start, reading, quote unquote, in bed and enjoying that quiet time in the morning. And then I would come and get them.
So just again for clarity, think about how much that alone, parents, could help you. Because instead of you trying to get some sleep and you're in a REM sleep at 4:30 in the morning and you have a little one coming up and tugging on you, and I'm not saying that'll never happen, but in general, if, even if you're trying to sleep until 6:30 or 7 because you need the rest, but then they wake up at 6 and they're getting you up before you know how it is. Like when you're sleeping, sometimes that last hour or so of sleep to me, sometimes feels like the most replenishing hour. And so when it gets cut short, it starts your day off weird. So us building into our kids, like, you know what, just read a book. You wake up a little bit earlier, then you can come out of your room at this time. That was big.
Well, and really in our situation, they didn't have much of a choice because typically I was already nursing another child or feeding another child. And so them coming out early is not going to happen. Like I was having dedicated time with maybe the newborn or the baby, and I didn't have time. Like that was not the time frame for you to come out. And so being strict with that and being, our kids had their bedrooms, had their bed,
so
had their space.
What would happen if they did do it? Even you taught them different.
Right. And we would walk back to the room and I say, this is where you're going to be until I come back. Do not come back outside. And if
the key was you didn't accommodate it. Like, no. Oh, honey, come here. And it's like, nope, this is how we do this.
I would just walk them back to their room, back to their bed. Here's your books. You know what I mean? I'll be back to get you in a little bit. Don't come get me. I'll come get you.
That's right.
And I would be really clear with my words.
Yeah.
And then if they did it again the next day, we would do it. And again, once they got used to it though, that was just, they liked it.
They still like it to this day.
They do. They still do it. They still do their, and I still get my morning time. And then when they became older, even where it was like, they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old and they completely understand, I would just, again, be honest, this is my time in the morning. So what I'm asking you to do is have your time. And I would teach them how to get their quality time by themselves.
Yeah.
By having
so important
that time frame. And now they read their Bibles in the morning.
It is okay for you to learn how to entertain yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I needed my time to spend with God and my morning routine. And I have taught them to do the same thing, to take that time. In fact, now they like so much of it, I have to tell them, it's time to come out.
But even today, though, our kids are 15.
And they still take that time in the morning.
But not only that, though, like we're talking about replenishment in a lot of ways here. So, the thing is, you always do better when you have morning time. And that means you going down, we have an office set up for you. You get a nice little view of the sunrise if it's that early. But you get your quiet time and you do your reading and you do your praying. And you just need about an hour to just do what you want to do. And so even today, the rule is don't come knocking on mom's door before a certain time because she needs her replenishment time, right? So we're still doing it. It's just kind of different in this season, but it still matters. And again, this is one thing that you figured out that really helps you. You need your morning time.
Right. And so just to kind of go over how the routine would go when they were smaller real quick. So the morning time was very special and they didn't get a chance just to come out and start playing in the middle of the night or the mid-morning whenever they wanted to. There was a schedule to that. And then after that, there was a routine, whether we went and started our whole routine, go in the bathroom, brush our teeth, comb our hair, get changed, do the whole thing. That was all kind of in that routine of what we did all the time. And then from there, came down and had our breakfast and did that. And then I had a routine throughout the day when it was time to kind of play, when it was time to clean up, when it was time for lunch, when it was.
So like, what would it look like?
I mean, typically when the kids were little, again, 7:30 wake up out of the room. We'd be done with breakfast, let's say, with everything changed, brush teeth, all that stuff, 8:30-ish, 9 o'clock. We'd have some playtime from 9 till, whatever it was, like 10:30, 11 or so. And then we'd do cleanup. It was time to clean up everything we did because at that point we had to start making lunch. And again, even if it wasn't me and it was our nanny that was there, it was my schedule that would work best.
That's right.
So my nanny, I had the schedule up and she would be like, oh, it's time to clean up. Mom says it's time for us to do lunch. So we're going to start, and we'd have lunch and, with lunch came also having lunch and then the whole bathroom routine and all the stuff because we were going to take a nap afterwards. And a lot of times people ask me like, oh, my kids, they just don't like naps. Oh, they stopped taking naps at 1 because they just didn't like them anymore. Or they didn't, at 2, they no longer wanted to take a nap. And
those weren't scheduled naps. And
I was always confused by that because all of our kids took naps, quote unquote, until they were about 5 years old. Like, and they didn't have a choice. Like, even if you didn't fall asleep, again, there was a stack of books next to your bed. Yeah. Please feel free to read 9 out of 10 times they fell asleep.
Right.
And
so you'd have a nap at like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it was like a 2-hour thing, right?
Correct.
Probably. So for between 1 and 3, even if you don't fall asleep, you can just have quiet time, we call it. You can read. It isn't, and usually we had kids in the same rooms together because they're all the same age, basically. And so even then, it's not talk time.
No, for us, it was really, again, replenishing for them and for us. I just felt it was really important to make sure that there was quiet time because, again, in our situation, typically I was helping with another baby at that point. And so I needed that kind of time, not only for the newborn, but I needed a nap sometimes. I needed to, close my eyes. I needed some quiet time. I needed to be able to listen to a podcast. I needed to be able to even maybe make dinner for that evening or something like that. And I did not need interruptions the whole time. So all of our kids would have quiet time. And then from there, they'd wake up, and sure enough, we'd play some more. Dinner would be, around 5:30ish. And I mean, our kids were in bed asleep by 8 p.m. when they were little. Because we just, again, if they didn't fall asleep, that meant you could read a book for 30 minutes, but at about 8:30, lights are off and we're getting some sleep because you are growing and you are changing and you need some sleep. And I will just tell you, because of simple schedules like that, other people could walk in and they could pick up our schedule quickly for us so that we could go do other things, and it wasn't difficult. Our kids are thankful. And even as they got older and they weren't of age of naps, we gave them opportunities to still take breaks and have a schedule so that they could be the best version of themselves.
We need one more episode of this, honey.
Okay.
You have so much wisdom here. Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.